Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
There, of course, remains a massive need for electricity, electric power, renewable power, dare I say, as data centers sprout up out of the earth like weeds in this country. Enter Governor Spencer Cox's Operation Gigawatt. If you were with us a couple of months ago, you've actually heard about this project that aims to create a consortium and an ecosystem that will eventually bring more advanced nuclear power to states like Utah and other states throughout the West. Operation Gigawatt to identify and assess sites for a potential advanced nuclear plant. And they want to have that sited and chosen by the end of this year, by the end of 2025, so construction can begin in the year ahead. You heard our conversation with Governor Cox and the CEO of Valor Atomics. And we have a different individual from that future ecosystem who is with us today alongside the governor. First, let's introduce Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah. It's great to see you again, sir. Welcome back to Bloomberg TV and radio. And Chris Levesque is with us as well, the CEO of Terrapower, which is working on an advanced nuclear reactor that would be sited in Utah. Gentlemen, I'd like to ask you both about how all this is going to work. And Governor, why we're in fact adding another name to this list. What does this mean today to reaching that new level of power in Utah?
Well, you set the table very well. Operation Gigawatt is about doubling the energy production in the state of Utah, something that we need. If you care about economic progress in our country, if you care about national security, and if you care about just prosperity in general, we have to, and the environment. If you care about the environment, you have to believe in nuclear power, and we do. And so we are setting up that ecosystem so that the private sector will have the opportunity to bring the latest inventions, to bring the best technology to bear, and Terrapower is one of those technologies. They're building right now, and the only construction nuclear capabilities happening in our country is happening with Terrapower. We're so excited to partner with Chris and his team, and we truly believe that what President Trump has been talking about in the Oval Office today is going to happen right here in Utah.
Chris, I'd love to hear about what you are working on at Terrapower, because it's a little bit different than some of the other nuclear technology that our viewers and listeners are probably used to. Natrium reactors are your specialty that use liquid sodium instead of water as a coolant. Does that make them safer or more dangerous?
Well, it certainly makes them safer and more economic as well. Thanks for having me, Joe. And thanks to Governor Cox, really, for your leadership with Operation Gigawatt. And of course, we already heard that the Trump administration is providing very strong support for nuclear and advanced nuclear energy, which is the form that Natrium takes. I've spent my whole career in nuclear energy, beginning in the Navy, and this is an industry that the U.S. created decades ago. It provides 20% of our electricity. But the fact is, the U.S. had fallen behind in the last few years. China and Russia have many more new builds than us. And with leadership from folks like Governor Cox, we're now prioritizing advanced nuclear energy. And it is very important for us to move to new technologies like the Natrium reactor, because they will be cheaper and safer than today's plants. Today's plants are quite safe. But if we look at a massive upscale, it's really important for us to move to the new technologies. China and Russia certainly are. The Natrium reactor, it's still a fission reactor. We break uranium atoms to release a lot of heat and boil water to make steam and drive turbines to make electricity the old-fashioned way. But by cooling the reactor with liquid sodium, it allows us to have a low-pressure plant, which is going to be safer. It's going to require much less steel and concrete. Another really important feature of the reactor is that we have built-in energy storage. And this is going to be really important in the Mountain West, where you do have quite a bit of renewables that you have to balance out. And built-in storage allows us to boost the energy output of the Natrium reactor throughout the day as the wind and the sun come and go, which is a limitation of renewables. So Natrium's a great balance to that. We're so excited to announce with the state of Utah and with flagship companies today a memorandum of understanding to examine Utah sites for natrium deployments. So we'll be looking at multiple sites in Utah for their potential to host a natrium reactor. As Governor Cox mentioned, we're already in the state of Wyoming, building our first reactor there. So we're very happy to be in the Mountain West.
All right, Chris. Well, I mean, that's a heck of an elevator pitch. And Governor, we're talking about some pretty esoteric technology here, using gravity and thermal convection to enable passive cooling in this natrium reactor. Last time you were on with us, Governor, you talked about a whole different approach to these small size microscale reactors. Do you understand? Are you becoming an expert on nuclear science, or are you just calling the smart guys to do the work?
Well, a little bit of both for sure. In fact, just last week I was at MIT with one of the nuclear physicists there, having these very conversations. And that's the thing. We're betting on all of these technologies. And truly, as Chris mentioned, the United States did lead the world when it comes to nuclear technology. And then we made a very bad decision. We decided basically since 1975, the year I was born, that we weren't going to bet on nuclear. The rest of the world has moved ahead of us. And that's a huge mistake right now as we are in an energy arms race. You mentioned the data centers and AI arms race, and we have to win. We can't lose this one, but we don't have to compromise on safety either. We can do both of those things. And the way you get better with this technology is to start building it. That's what we haven't been doing over the last 50 years, is actually doing the thing that we know we can do. We have the best scientists, we have the best innovators in the world, and Utah is betting on them, and the country needs that desperately right now.
Really interesting. Chris, let's say you get a site by the end of the year. That's your plan by the end of 2025. How long would it take to have a natrium reactor up and running?
Yes, Joe, we could mobilize a site shortly after that, because we've made a lot of progress with the Nuclear Regulatory Commission in licensing that first plant in Wyoming. Then we're looking at about a 3-year construction duration for natrium reactors, which is much shorter than today's technologies that require all of the steel and concrete. So it's yet another reason for us to move forward with advanced technology. And I do want to point out, we're not only supplying, AI and, important energy security demands in the U.S., but, with leadership of people like Governor Cox, we're also saying if we can prove out this technology here, we can then export the technology where, nations that are hungry for electricity are inevitably going to be shopping for nuclear. And we need to offer a U.S. technology in competition with Russia and China, who will be peddling nuclear energy around the world.
Governor, there's a headline in Washington today that the EPA is pulling almost $62 million in solar grants from the state of Utah. Does that make your life more difficult when you're pursuing an all of the above strategy?
Well, it definitely doesn't help. And look, we are an all of the above state. We do have an immense amount of sunshine here, and we want to take advantage of solar for sure, and solar with batteries. But I just don't think most people comprehend the amounts of power that are going to be needed, that are needed right now. Look, the entire state of Utah runs on about 4 gigawatts of electricity. We have one data center campus that would operate on 4 gigawatts of electricity. I mean, that's over 100 years worth of electricity production and development in the state of Utah. And they need that kind of power right now. So we need all of it. We need the solar. We need the coal that is still burning in Utah, the cleanest burning coal anywhere in the world. We need the natural gas. Unfortunately, we have a lot of that too. And we have to bet on nuclear. And so that's what we're doing. We can't do nuclear overnight. It is going to take a few years, but we can certainly increase that time, the production time, the development time, and then actually getting that product out to consumers. We've been short-sighted. There is an abundance of energy out there. We're the ones making decisions to hold that back. Those decisions are now changing in a bipartisan way, and I'm so happy to see it. I'm so happy to hear blue state governors that are talking about energy development again in ways that they haven't in the past. Let's not make these false choices. Let's work on the solar side. Let's work on the nuclear side, and let's get it done.
Well, that's a really interesting answer. I guess these grants, $62 million worth, are a little more than a year old. This goes back to May of 24. Would you ask for these grants to be restored? And what does it mean for people paying their bills each month?
Well, look, again, we'll look at those grants and what each one of those was for. I'm going through that review process right now. We do know that there was money that was granted that is going to be spent on things that aren't going to help in the long term. And if we can divert that money in a way that will get us a better product, that will get us more, that will, again, help to lower prices, that's all I care about right now. I think it's a mistake to get in these fights where we're denigrating one technology over the other. We should, again, be trying to lift all of these technologies because they do all play a role. And certainly solar is going to play a role in Utah. It is right now, and it will continue in the future. But it can't be the only role. We had one administration before that was trying to stop us from using the technologies that we have that exist now with coal and natural gas. That was a terrible mistake. I want to make sure we don't swing the pendulum too far and start tearing down other technologies that are going to help us well into the future.
I hear you. Well, I don't know who you're going to show up with next, Governor, but I really appreciate the conversation. Spencer Cox, the Republican governor of Utah, Chris Levesque, president and CEO of a company called Terrapower. Check it out. These new reactors they're working on might help to answer some of the questions that we've been asking about power in the United States.